Welcome to Video DNA, where the English is bad and the tutorials are good. I'm Miran Tabib, and today I'm gonna walk you through screen mockups in Tehran Season 3. So actually, screen mockups are supposed to be pretty easy, but we wanted to take it a few steps further to make it more cinematic and more realistic. So in this technique, I'm gonna show you how to take your regular screen mockups a few steps forward. And it all begins with movement, which means that before I started to create this shot, we created a packs of a few shots that we actually filmed in our own studio, and it looks like this. So this is the basic video that the movement is based on, which is actually me on my laptop taking my smartphone and pulling back. And you can see that it doesn't matter how you try. When you do something, when you hold a phone, you hold a camera, it shakes a little bit. And this shake is taking the movement to realism. So what I can do to use it? So let's begin. So first of all, I'm gonna take this shot and gonna start from the beginning, and I'm gonna drop it into a new composition, and I'm gonna call it screen movement. And I'm gonna right click, and I'm gonna go to track and stabilize, and I'm gonna track the camera. And let's give it a few seconds to do its thing.
Sending Brenda's from a Mac to a PC? No, that's science fiction. Is that real? Holy sh!
Perfect. Now we have all these dots, and if I create a solid, and let's create a grid on the solid. I always like to put grids on my solids. That's me. So I have this movement, which is pretty interesting. You say, nah, it's like wiggle. No, it's not. Because I don't know why. It's not like wiggle. It's from real life. Okay? Anyway, now I want to use it on something. So I'm gonna bring in the screen. So the screen can be animated or not animated. It's up to you. And I'm gonna just place some graphics, and I'm gonna turn them to 3D, and I'm gonna shift parent it to the solid. I'm gonna scale it down just a little bit. And now I have this movement. It's too long. So right click, let's make it a bit longer. I'm gonna pre-compose it, and I'm gonna call it screen graphics, and I'm gonna leave all attributes graphics. Okay, and then I'm gonna go inside, and I'm gonna use VA Precomp time to change it to 10 seconds, go. And now everything, including the things inside it, are 10 seconds long. If you don't know what VA Precomp time is, check the link below. It's a free script from my site. Take it. Take it. I didn't mean to yell at you guys. Sorry. Anyway, now when I have the movement, I'm gonna create some motion blur and turn off the solid. And now it begins to look good by motion, but not really by nothing else actually. So, and the motion does not exactly as it should be, because it pulls out, it's nice, but it doesn't pull up as I want. And furthermore, I don't think I wanted to go this far, and I wanted to go a little bit to the right. So that's the nice thing. The camera movement is only the base movement. You can do whatever you want with it. So you can do some animation to the graphic. So I'm gonna scale it. So now it holds in place. Not actually holding in place. We're just putting a contra. And like how do you say, animation that makes it go the other way around by scale. And I also want it to move. So I'm gonna go to the position, make a keyframe, and then I think I'm gonna go to the right and maybe scale it up. Whatever this scene demands me, I will do it. So this looks pretty awesome. And maybe scale it down just a bit. And over here. And you know what? I can also rotate it. So I'm gonna go to the rotation and I'm gonna give a keyframe to the orientation. And then I think I'm gonna move it like this. So eventually I have this animation. So again, the tracking that I created only created the base animation. I can do whatever I want with it because I can keyframe, After Effects. So let's make this look more realistic. So the first thing I want to do is to create all those, I think it's called Moiré. I don't know if you see it on your screen, so I'm gonna go down just a little bit. I know it's small, but you can see there is like a Moiré texture to it. So there is no effect that is called Moiré. I really tried. And Moiré, if you don't know, it's, I think, but I will also put a Wikipedia screenshot on what is Moiré. But so I think it's when the density of the texture that you're shooting is higher density than the camera can capture. Means the frequency means like the texture is like 8K, but you use only full HD to use it. So when you see a lot of stripes on screen, they can create moiré. It's like that's why you're not allowed to have clothes with high frequency lines when you're on TV. I want to create this moiré. So I'm going to go to the graphics, and it's actually pretty easy. I'm going to create a solid. I'm going to put a grid effect on it. And the grid can create some grids. You know me, I also always use grids. So I'm going to change the color of the grid to black, and I'm going to change it to width and height slider. And there are two kinds of lines I like to create. So first of all, I can create only the horizontal lines. So I'm gonna make the width really, really big and take the center to the side so there are no vertical lines. And I'm gonna change the height to 2 or something like that, maybe 4, and the border to 2. So now I have these lines, all of these lines, and I'm gonna reduce the opacity to 50% and go out. So now when we have this animation, you can see all these moiré lines, which is pretty cool. So this is the first way we can use it. And the second one is to create all the pixels. So I'm going to reset this, create black grid. And I think, yeah, I'm going to go again to width and height. So I'm going to change it to 4x4 and 2. So now I have all these little squares, and the opacity is already 40%, 50%. So now there is more subtle moiré. And it actually, when you stop it and go inside, you can actually see the pixel size, which is pretty cool. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create some chromatic aberration, which means the graphic colors will break into the 3 base colors, which is red, green, and blue. So I'm going to create a channel shift effect. I'm going to put it on one of them, shift channels, sorry. And I'm going to place it on this one. And I'm going to duplicate it 2 times, one for red, one for blue, one for green. So the first one is going to be red. So I'm going to take the red from red, and I'm going to turn off the green and the blue. So I have this one. I'm going to turn it off, go one below. Now let's do the green. I'm going to turn off the red, turn off the blue. Now I have green. And I'm going to do this to the last one. I'm going to turn off red, turn off green, and I'll remain with only the blue. So I'm going to turn all of them on, and they will obscure each other. So I'm going to take the first two and change them to screen. And now it looks like we were back to square one. But the cool thing about it is I can take the top layer, which is red, let's call it red. Let's call this green. And let's call this blue. So I'm going to take the red layer. I'm going to take it 1 pixel to the side, or 1 pixel to the left, or just a touch. And I'm going to do the same for the green. Maybe over here. Yeah, something like this. I think it looks good. Or maybe the blue. Can do whatever I want with them. Yeah, this looks pretty good. So I go outside, and this is pretty subtle effect, but it's there. So the next thing I want to do is to create some dirt on this layer. So I'm going to create a new solid, and I'm going to call it dust. I'm going to create fractal noise, and I'm going to change the transform to really, really small details. I'm going to create a lot of contrast, and I'm going to take the brightness down. And I'm going to put another fractal noise effect. And I'm going to change the blending mode of it to multiply so you can see both of them. And again, I'm going to change the contrast, and I'm going to lower the brightness until I'm getting a few specks. And now I can create a screen layer. I'm going to make it 3D. And I'm going to shift parent it to the track solid. And I'm going to scale it. You know what? Instead of scaling it, let's change the height and width of this layer to 4000 by 2000. So now I have all this magnificent dust. So let's lower the opacity of this to 20%. I'm supposed to parent it to the screen graphics. My bad, my bad. Okay. So now they move the same, which is pretty cool. I have some dusty material, and I could create some more layers like this, but I'm gonna leave it as is. And now let's create the depth of field. So I don't really want to use the depth of field of the camera. It will work, but it always looks less good than the regular one. So what I'm gonna do, I'm going to turn off the depth of field of the camera, and I'm going to create a solid, a comp size solid. I'll place a gradient ramp on it. I'm going to leave it as this. I'm going to turn it off. And now I'm going to create an adjustment layer, and I'm going to call this blur. I'm going to place lens blur, camera lens blur on it. And I'm going to take the blur map from the black solid, which is supposed to be D map. And I'm going to take the effects and masks. This is not the first time I do this in this tutorial series, so I'm going to skip some steps. So I'm going to take the roundness up. I'm going to make more blur, and I'm going to change the gain to 100 and lower the threshold just a bit. And now I want to change the focal distance somewhere in the middle. And I want to change the gradient ramp to something more like diagonal. And I'm going to reduce the amount of blur. This amount of blur will only help me understand how can I move all the gradient, or how can I use the gradient that is in the DMAP layer. So I'm going to take it just a bit down. So if you see these crazy lines, you can always lower the gain that actually creates them. So I'm going to just skip the gain, so I have nicer results with more blur. So this is what I have right now. And before I continue to the reflections, I want to do something interesting. So I want to make this pop up and blink. So I'm going to go to the screen graphics. I'm going to take this layer. I'm going to create a keyframe on scale, and after 10 frames, it will be, I think 5 frames will do. And I want it to blink. So I'm going to create a keyframe on the opacity. And then I'm going to lower it to 0. And I'm going to create another one of 100. So I have 100, 100, 0, 100. I'm going to Control Alt on all of these and have this animation. So I want it to repeat itself. So Alt click on the opacity and I'm going to type loop out. And that's all you need to do to create a nice loop. Maybe a little longer. Great. So now we have this. Goes up and blinks. So now let's create the reflection. So the reflection is pretty nice because it takes us back to a tutorial that I did almost 10 years ago, which is 3D reflections in After Effects. So I'm going to create a black solid and I'm going to call it reflections. I'm going to create some fractal noise. You probably noticed I really like fractal noise. So all I want to do now is to create some really long texture. So I'm going to go to the transform and I'm going to check off uniform scaling, and then I'm going to change the height to something like this and the width to something like this. And I think it's supposed to be something like this. Yeah, I think this looks good, and I'm going to blur it. Perfect. So now what I want to do, I want to create a 3D layer, shift click on the screen. So it's going to be on the screen, but I'm going to take it back. And the issue is when I'm going to take it back, it will disappear behind the screen graphics. So what I want to do is to create an adjustment layer between them, so it will always be visible. Don't ask me why, but it works. So when you have something in 3D that you want to place behind something, but you still want to see it, place an adjustment layer or a 2D layer in between them. So now I have this layer that if I'm going to change the blending mode to screen, I can see both of them. And it has some really, really nice parallax effect. So I'm going to take it down to maybe, I don't know, something like 15%. So it will be present, but it will not be as noticeable. You can also use like a video of the face of the person that sits on this machine. And now I can see the texture can be a bit bigger. So I'm just gonna make it bigger and make it more visible. But in the final product, I will not leave it as this. I'm gonna leave it so we can see it together. So now I have this reflection as well. And I think we're getting there. So little minor adjustments. So the first adjustment I want to do, if I want to take it to the next level, I'm gonna turn down the blur. I think it's too much. Let's give it some 10, which is nice. And I want to reduce the dust amount to something like 10 as well. And the reflection, yeah, the reflection will be 15. So now I'm gonna have something like this. And this is starting to look pretty cool. In the end of the day, this is only a full HD resolution because it's based on a full HD video. But there is no issue if we decide to change it to 4K resolution and maybe go to the camera and change the zoom. And now I have a 4K resolution of the same thing without doing nothing, just creating a 4K composition and adjusting the layers. And it will take some time to render because this is pretty heavy, and it's okay. This is screen mockups in After Effects in cinematic style. I hope you enjoyed this and you learned not one thing, a lot of things. And I think I'm gonna see you next time on our final episode. Until then, have a good one.